Okay, I'm going line by line through the code in this avatar chat program. Hopefully this is helping you. This is a chat program and a series of videos. If you want, I'm going to put I put all these videos at youtube.com/Dan's courses. I have a playlist called SmartFox, and then all these SmartFox tutorials will be in that playlist. That might make it easy for you if you want to see the earlier videos. Okay, and then this is also for my students who are taking a multiplayer class, so um, hopefully you find it useful. Okay, we left off right here. We are in a function called SmartFox on join room, and this is everything that happens when a user joins the room. Now, at the bottom of this function on join room, I am in, by the way, the action script on the chat keyframe here of this file. You can see here I set up an interval. So this outside of this function, I set up an interval, and it's called myInterval with a capital I here equals a set interval command, and this will set an interval. It's like a timer, and this set interval command, what it'll do is it'll execute a function called myFunction in 1,000 ticks, which would be in 1 second. So that's a 1,000 milliseconds, which would be like in 1 second. Now, the reason I did that was basically I needed this function that you're going to see this function that I wrote called myFunction. I needed it to execute, but I needed to kind of like wait a second so that some other data had been processed from the SmartFox server first. So I kind of, this is a hack. It's kind of an ugly hack, but it worked. So there you have it. I don't know. So anyway, I commented here. See, it says I needed a pause to allow the extension to respond. And so anyway, just write this down like this, and we need to eventually see this function called myFunction that's going to execute in 1 second, which is 1,000 milliseconds. All right, and then the rest of this stuff here, this line and this line, is all part of this function on join room. Okay, up here you'll see right here where I said other users dot push, and I pushed in the username and the movie clip for the other users in the room. Down here you'll see at the end of the function, this is where I created the array. So it says other users equals new array. And the reason I did that is I wanted this array, other users, to be available to all of the functions. So I put it outside of the main function. See, this function right here goes from here all the way to here. Okay, that's SmartFox on join room function, right? Starts here on line 120 in this video and ends right there on line 170. So this other users equals a new array. This is outside of the function, so it's going to be available to all of the functions. Okay. And there's my function, the one that I called in the timer. You can see here it is, that I wrote this function. And once again, it's well, what it does is there's a for loop here. It says, okay, starts the increment at 0, and then it's going to be, the increment is going to be less than or equal to the other users dot length. So however many other users got pushed into that array that I created, right? And then it's going to cycle through it's going to loop through I++ will add 1. So starting at 0, it'll go 0, I will be equal to 0, then I will be equal to 1, then I will be equal to 2, depending on how many other users there are. So it's going to loop based on how many users there are, starting at 0. So then it says if other users I, so the first element in the array, dot un, which is the username, right? If other users I dot username. So what that means is if there is a username, right, and not null, right? So if there is a username and not nothing, then let's go to the next step, which is another loop. And in this loop, j starts at 0, and j is equal to myUsers.length, which is another array of users that I had created. and it's kind of ugly, but it works. And of course, you can see here I sent some stuff to the debugger, which I've now commented out. These are comments, so I don't, just to test to make sure it worked. And it says basically here, if other users I.username equals my users J, and this is a nested array. Yeah, I think that's what it's called, a nested array. But you can see here that when it says my users J and then 0, that means this is like an array within an array. So go to the element J and then go to the first element, the first array within this array. So it's yeah, nested arrays. Okay, and then here this is kind of tricky. I say other users I, right? So you got the user, then .mc, which is their movie clip on the stage, then go into AV pieces, then go into the hair, and go to and stop from the my users array, the J array, and then element 1, which would be the hair. Element 2 is going to be the head, eyes, ears, and mouths. And so this is kind of basically one array talking to another array to get the positions, the numbered positions. And anyway, that's how it works. So I've got to access the one array and then access the other array, and then I change the user's positions on the stage. This is going to set all of the movie clips for the other users, not my character, but the other avatars on the stage. And hopefully this nested array is not a big deal. Basically, with an array, what you have is an array is a list, right? So you have an array of items, or it's like a list of items or a set of items. But in those items, each item can actually be itself another array. So we go to user 1, right, or user 0, and then that user has his own array of items like hair, head, eyes, ears, mouth. Okay, and then at the end of this function, after we've looped through all the users and set all their characteristics, we're going to clear the interval and turn the interval off. So it says clear interval, my interval. So that's going to stop this interval from running. My interval, set interval, my function every second, right? So this thing would execute every second unless we stop it. So we don't want to do that. So right here, I stop it after we've run through it. After we've run through my function, I stop the interval so it doesn't run again. Okay. Next thing.